So what is my first detailing experience? When I was 17, I had a 1985 Dodge Charger. I remember washing it and using Pledge on the paint. Pledge actually worked really, really well. It was really hard to work with. I had to really work it in. Man, my arms got sore, but it was a tough as nails finish. And I had no clue what I was doing, but nothing would stick to it. I think it was one of the original, so that was 97, 98. It was one of the original ceramic coatings. First ceramic coating of its day. I think coatings weren't invented until about 2008. I'd say it was probably the first coating. What was my first detailing job? Working for the Dodge dealership where my dad did. I washed a lot of cars. I washed 110 cars, and I would go around, do all of them, and then start over. And I think I did that for about 6 months or so. I enjoyed that. It was a lot of fun. Eventually got to move inside and work in the inside wash bay, and then I started basically doing decon washes in the wash bay, and I just did that day in, day out. We moved a lot, did a lot of other fun stuff. Worked there for about 5 years. A lot of fun. I really enjoyed it. I didn't really get to see my dad much because he's a salesman, so he works a ridiculous amount of hours. I don't have a lot of memories with Dad. He never really played with me. I mean, he's 40 years older than me, but between that and his scheduling, he just was always tired, I guess. So working with him was pretty fun. I got to know him in a way that probably most sons don't get to know their dad. They don't work with him, so I really enjoyed it. I had a lot of memories, so at least I'm glad I have those memories of my dad. So what were my other detailing jobs? After that, I went off to college. I detailed an independent detailer in college. After college, found another couple of detailers. I learned a lot. I learned something different at each place. In some cases, the guys came alongside and showed me what to do. Other ones just said, hey, do this right, do this again, do this better. And he kind of taught me in a kind of a hands-off way, but because I wanted to please them and I wanted to do the best job I could, I kind of figured out how to get the job done. So whether hands-on or hands-off training, I got quite a bit of training. And then after that, I worked for the Honda dealership. I was a manager of the Honda dealership detail department. And that was my first taste of not only detailing to the highest level I had ever done, I was also managing the detail department. So yeah, that was my first, I would call it, real detailing job. So working at the Honda store was kind of where I put everything together. I'd already known how to do the outsides. I learned at the previous jobs how to do interiors, and then at Honda I kind of put it all together. I wasn't anywhere near efficient. I mean, I could do a car from start to finish 5.5, 6 hours, and we did them right. Did a really good job. So I detailed about half the time, and then the other half of the time there, I did training and inspecting the vehicles once they were detailed by the other guys. My detailing management experience, I was learning a lot on the job. I enjoyed managing. We were a profitable department. We kind of became profitable. At first, they did not separate the number. We didn't know what the numbers were, but we were able to eventually figure out how many cars came in, how much we charged, how much money we were making as a department. When we were profiting as a department, I made it a profitable department. Of course, you know, it's somebody else's money, so there's not a whole lot of pressure. It's very different from doing it on your own. But I'm glad I got the experience. It was a great experience. And eventually the service manager, who was my boss, we had been doing dealer cars from other, so some of the local car lots, because I wanted to increase, we were slow, we wanted to increase some volume, increase profit, keep the guys busy, train. So I went around to 4 or 5 of the local dealers, and they gave us cars. So we brought them to the dealership, we did them there. We did that for 1.5 years, 2 years, and then service manager just came to me one day, hey, we're too busy. I got a load of cars out here. We can't do dealer cars anymore. You got to stop doing dealer cars, and we also can't spend money on supplies. The supplies you bought, they were too much. we can't do that anymore. So it became very frustrating to keep the standard, and I kind of lost heart for it. And my attitude toward him and toward the situation was definitely made things worse. If I had to go back, I would try to figure out a way to not get such a bad attitude, and I allowed the frustrations of it. And that's life. I mean, that's just what happens in life. Things happen and things go south, and it's not your circumstances that determine who you are. It's how you handle those circumstances, and I definitely did not handle them right. So this business got started 2013. Since we had already been doing cars for those dealers, I didn't want to go to them and say, hey, we can't do the cars anymore. So I asked all the dealers, is it okay if I rent a garage and I do some cars and I hire somebody, can you keep giving us cars? They're like, yeah, they kept giving us cars. So I rented a garage. I think that was more like 2012, 2013. Rented a garage and hired a guy, and it didn't really work out too well. Most people want to be told what to do. These guys, they just did not know how to run a shop by themselves, being the ones to make the final decision. They did a lot of dumb stuff, just like I did, a lot of dumb stuff. So that's basically how it got started without me being there. Was I just didn't want to tell those dealers no, and since they said, yeah, we'll keep sending you stuff, I said, hey, that's fantastic, let's go for it. So what made me leave my paying job at a dealership or a detail place to go on my own? From once I left the Honda dealer, I went to work for a large independent detail shop in Cockeysville, Maryland, Diamond Detail, and they were a well-organized bunch that was focused on process. They were really good. It was a long drive, unfortunately, and hours. So I was leaving the house at 7 in the morning and didn't get home till 8 at night. And that was typically Monday to Friday. That was just a great job. I would have loved it. The pay was better than Honda, but it's just too long hours. So, my wife and I sat down and decided, I think we can support ourselves if I quit and I just go to work for myself, rent a little bit bigger of a garage and just keep doing those dealer cars. Maybe we can get some customers. So we both agreed, and she's very cautious, very good with money, and she was definitely in. I just called up the job and said I'm done, and I'm going to go to work for myself. So how many mistakes have I made in business? Business and personal. Pretty much every mistake that could be made, I did it. I bought equipment too soon. I got the cart in front of the horse. Both business and personal. I took in business, I took things personally, and then that was definitely something I took home with me, and I kind of viewed my wife as, well, if she had a criticism, I took it personally instead of seriously. I should have taken it seriously and listened to her, but I didn't. I let those circumstances kind of dictate my behavior, and I mean, honestly, we shouldn't still be in business. I think it's only by God's grace that we're still in business, because I have made every mistake that you can possibly make, personally and professionally. And I'm so thankful that God has allowed me to continue in this type of business, because I absolutely love it. Do I have any business regrets? Yeah, I mean, made more mistakes than I can count. I mean, as far as regrets, I don't think there's not been some opportunity that I should have taken that would have worked. I don't think it's a bad thing to be cautious. Sometimes let opportunities that seem like you shouldn't pass them up to go ahead and pass them up. But I guess the biggest regrets for me are taking things personally. Now, because I went through this stuff and, a customer I remember a time where I lost some small dealers. I mean, one of the dealers gave me a lot of work, and some of my personal choices that I made affected my business. And some of the dealers said, we're not going to work with you anymore. And it was a devastating blow, to lose the first dealer that I did cars for, one of the main accounts. What am I going to do? How am I going to pay the bills? And that happens. That's life. You do something stupid, and it costs friendships. It costs business friendships. It costs personal friendships. But it's business, and I did take it personally. So, looking back, I could see the attitude and how you respond to the situation. So, and that's how you learn and grow. You make those mistakes, and now when criticism comes, or people cancel, or people choose somebody that's cheaper, or they choose someone for whatever other reason, it's not personal. It's business. If I offer you a coating and you say no, man, we're slower and I could really use that. It's business. It's not personal. So I'm glad I went through those situations. I'm not glad I did the dumb stuff, but I'm glad I went through the situations and at least was able to learn how to not take things personally. And if I could just do it at home, I think it would be a lot better. If I could figure it out at work, I should be able to figure it out at home. And I think that is a more desirable thing, to not only professionally but privately too, to be able to not take it personally but take it seriously. Do I love working for myself? Absolutely. If I had to do it all over again, I would work for myself. I mean, there was times where I wanted to give up more times than I can count. I mean, some of those situations where I lost accounts, or somebody only want to pay $100, but your car needed $500 worth of work, and then you want to complain about it. That stuff. It's one of those. That's one of those things that just makes you say, I don't want to have to deal with this. But thankfully, I have not gotten a lot of criticism. Because the volume we do, it's manageable. It's just me for the most part, or I have a part-time guy or maybe a full-time guy in the spring and summer, but nothing really happens here that's out of control. Because it's mostly me and one other guy, and I'm here, so it's easy to manage that stuff. It's also helped me to be able to set a standard, and I can focus on it, and I can see it, and it can kind of become part of who I am. Because nothing gets, I don't have to ask someone else how something went. How did that customer handle? What did you do here? I'm involved in everything, which is good and bad. Some people like that type of business. Others, they want that, they want the work done now. And I have people call me all the time. It's noon. Hey, can I bring my car in now? It needs a full detail. I can't do it right now. I have to schedule that. And then I never hear from them again. But yeah, I mean, I absolutely love working for myself. I can't believe I've been doing this since 2013. I've been working for myself. Days go by fast. It's absolutely fantastic. I love every minute of it. What kind of detailing business are we currently? We're low volume. We're not in a high foot traffic area, which is nice. Not have to pay huge rent, huge utilities, water bills. Everything's kind of manageable, but we're low volume. I am pretty efficient. That's one of my goals, to be efficient as I can. So the type of detailing that I really like is, I like the restoration stuff. I do like ceramic coating brand new vehicles. I like preserving them. There's not much of a contrast. You got a brand new vehicle that has 500 miles on it. You don't see much of a contrast because there's nothing to undo. But don't get me wrong, I still love it because I'm preserving a vehicle. Now, there's a lot of stuff that's not going to have to be done to the vehicle that would have to be done if we didn't coat it. So polishing, oxidation is stopped and those sorts of things. So that's great. But I really love somebody who brings me a 2012 Honda Accord. Clear coat's dull, can't be polished up, scratches galore, clear coat restoration, and then ceramic coating. I love that because you go from like a dull maroon or a dull, blue, supposed to be deep royal blue, and it looks more like baby blue because it's oxidized and scratched. And then you do the clear coat restoration, and the thing comes back to absolute jet blue, and it's just stunning. And then ceramic coating that. Wheel restorations, I love the contrast there, making a curb rash wheel brand new again. Restoring headlights. You can really sink your teeth into cars. Interior that's wrecked, that is cleaned, and then protectants put on top to kind of restore and bring the natural colors back out and to preserve it and fill in some of the scratches. So that's the stuff that I love. Now, you might call that long-term restoration, but no, it doesn't take that long for me to do those sorts of jobs. I could do a restoration and a ceramic coating. If we leave out the 48-hour cure time, so when we clear coat restore a vehicle, we're putting new clear coat on, it needs 48 hours to cure before we can ceramic coat it. So let's leave out the 48 hours, the actual work. I can do clear coat restoration basically 2 days. The prep, the first day, lay the new clear coat down, and then 1 day, actually not even a full day to do a coating, depending on the coating, of course. So it's basically 1 full day, maybe a day and a couple hours worth of work, just depending on the size of the vehicle. So it's not like it takes 5 days. Now, there was times when I worked for the Dodge dealership, you get a car in there and it didn't leave for 3 or 4 or 5, maybe all week sometimes. Now I would wash it. Joe and Sandy, my boss, and the assistant cleanup manager would work on it. They would work on it for 3 days, 4 days. Of course, efficiency was frowned upon because if you're fast, you weren't good, which it's actually the opposite. If you're slow, you're not good. If you're fast, you're good. I don't mean fast as in you're skipping steps. I mean tools that do most of the work for you. You think of a toothbrush, traditional scrub. Those things, as we know, are very efficient. They take long and actually start cramping up your hand and your forearm, as opposed to an Oral-B, one of those battery-operated, does the work. You don't scrub. You just let the tool do the work. You just move to the tooth. You don't have to do it. Number one, it does a better job in half the time. So what it costs is irrelevant because cost per use, that's, brushing teeth. But, when it comes to business, if I can spend $500 for a tool that makes me, makes the job faster and does a better job, that tool didn't cost me anything. It's actually making me money. I got off on a tangent there. But that's the type of detailing business that we are, the in-depth stuff, I'll say, the restoration, because I love that, absolutely love that contrast. Where would I like to see the business in the next 5 years? If we're still in this location, which like I said, it's not heavy foot traffic. We're kind of hidden, unfortunately. It is what it is, but rent's cheap. At least 2 full-time employees, and I mean full-time employees all year round, not hire somebody and have to lay them off because we're slow. I would love to have 2 full-time employees, and they can work in the wash bay and do interiors. I can focus on it, and I'm not looking to not detail, but I would love to be able to just focus on the restorations, the polishing, the ceramic coatings. I don't have to mess around. I love the wash bay. I'd live in the wash bay if I could, but that would be better for somebody else because the wash bay brings less money than the dry bay does. So it'd be more beneficial for me to be in the dry bay back here doing the coatings and stuff like that. But I would love to see it. Making double the income we are right now with 2 full-time employees. For me, detailing is not about the money. I don't really care. I do care about the money, but that's not my motivation. Growth is my motivation. Reaching as many customers as I can, being able to fulfill the need. If somebody calls up and says, hey, can I come in an hour? I'd love to be able to say yes. There have been times where I have, because it was a small job. But if I have at least 2 people in here, and I mean in 5 years, 2 people in the dry bay back here and 1 guy in the wash bay, or 2 guys in the wash bay, however that would work out. We're kind of limited in space here, but you know, that's a good problem to have, needing more people, because that means you're growing. But that's what I like to see. So money is not the motivation for me. I'm not looking to get rich. Looking to pay the bills and to be here the next day, you know, tomorrow, and to be able to do it all over again and solve that problem for the customer. What type of customers do I look for? I try not to say no to anyone, and by that I mean, oh, you know, can I bring my car in tomorrow? No, I don't like to say no. Let me see what I can do. You know, try to figure something out. The type of customers that I'm looking for are customers that are an encouragement to me. I'll have guys walk in here all the time, and I come up to the window and they've got a big smile on their face. They've probably watched a couple of the videos on my website. They've read, and I'm like, man, your website's great. I really trust bringing my car. And they just have a big grin, and I can see that they recognize me from the videos. All 132 views my videos have. But I could see that they recognize me, and they're an enthusiast. But they know that's a whole nother topic which I won't get into. But you know, you got an enthusiast that knows that you're better than he is, and he's going to entrust his car to you and say, make this thing beautiful. And then there's I'm going to get into it, sorry. There's an enthusiast that says, I can do this. And it's funny because you're probably better than most, but you know, there's no way. I do this professionally. I mean, I dedicate 24/7 to getting better. You dedicate a couple hours on the weekends. You read some blogs, and that's fine. And I'm not downing enthusiasts. You guys are fantastic. Enthusiasts don't come to me. The enthusiasts that can do it themselves, and there's nothing wrong with trying to figure it out. But you know you can fix your own car, but you're not going to do it as good as a mechanic. I mean, there's just no way. You know, you can lay down carpet, but unless you do it professionally, you're not going to be as good as somebody professional. And that's the challenge: being good and being profitable. That's the tough thing in business. You know, someone wants, I want you to spend 12 hours on this car, but I only want to pay $300. Well, you're not going to, there's no way I can. That's an enthusiast. That's kind of that enthusiast mentality. I need you to spend as much time as I would, which is the entire weekend, but I can't only afford a couple $100. And that's unreasonable expectation. And people like that come in, and that's fine. I don't want to tell them no. I try to meet their need, but those aren't the ones that encourage me. The ones that encourage me and say, I really love cleaning my car. I've done it. I think I'm pretty good. But I know you're going to be way better than me because I know where my limitations are. And I know that yours are basically almost limitless. And here's my car. I entrust it to you. Also, so people like that encourage me. The ones that also encourage me are, my car is disgusting. I'm not messing with it. Here you go. And they're not necessarily lovers of, you know, keeping their car amazing and preserved. They're just more, I want it clean. Here you go. Here's my disgusting, you know, car. Well, they might care about the car. They might not. You know, it's not about the joy of restoring it or preserving it. It's just the joy of finally it's clean and I'm going to be happy. I'll be able to drive it a lot better and enjoy it more. So do I have any employees currently? No, because we're heading into fall, September 2021, almost October. I had a couple of employees not at the same time this year, but usually in the spring and summer I have an employee, but in the fall and winter it's usually just me because we slow down. Last year was our best year we've ever had. So yeah, last year 2020 was the best year we've had to date, and I think this year is probably going to be a little bit better than last year. Hopefully it will be, but you know, I'm definitely satisfied with our numbers that we're hitting as the years go on. So what are my priorities in business? I have 2. Number 1 is profitability. I need to be profitable. If I'm not profitable, then I won't be here when you need me the next time, whether it be a simple wash or a coating or anything in between. So profitability is number one. Number two is a three-way tie. Efficiency, quality, customer service. I think those things are most important. You know, at this point, this location, customer service, I can't always meet the need. You know, if you call up and you want to get in 2 days, I think most people understand that that's short notice. On the other hand, waiting a month, that's bad customer service. I would love to be able to say, yes, I can get you in here tomorrow. It just depends on my schedule and how busy we are. But bad customer service is waiting a month. That's way too, I don't even like to be a week out. A week is, I guess, is manageable for me, but above that, I don't like telling people more than a week out. Quality, being as efficient as I can. They kind of go hand in hand. The more efficient I am, the better standard I can reach, the better job I can do, the better I feel about it. So that way I don't have to charge $1,000 to do an interior. I mean, if an interior was, and I guess this was the challenge at the beginning, if an interior is going to take, let's say, 5 years ago, a nasty interior would have taken me 6 hours. No one's going to pay $600, $700, $800, $1,000. I mean, to spend all day on an interior, I need to be profitable. So I'm going to have to charge, $800, $1,000, depending on the time I was working. And I still have to stop somewhere. So if I can get a nasty interior and charge $300 or $400 for it, and it not take me all day, and then I can move on to the next. I mean, that's, I think $300, $400 for a wrecked interior is much more reasonable than $800 or $1,000. Because I was able to get my time down, I can charge reasonable rates for those sorts of things, or even a clear coat restoration. When I started doing those, I was at $1,000 or more because it took me a long time to figure it out. And once I hit the learning curve, I was able to get it down to just a matter of a few hours. It's actually quite easy now. So yeah, profitability, quality, customer assurance, customer service, efficiency. Those are the things I focus on, mostly efficiency, and I mean, there are things I need to work on, customer service. I don't like meeting new people. I'm not very good at it. I always feel awkward and uncomfortable, but we have a common thing to talk about, cars. I like talking about cars. If we stand there talking about other stuff, yeah, I'm going to be uncomfortable, but we're talking about cars, talking about cleaning cars, ceramic coatings, and I could talk about that stuff all day. But anyway, I know this is a long video. I just wanted to kind of tell my story, where we started from, and what direction I want to go. And sorry it was a long video, but I hope you enjoyed it and kind of learned something. And I just want to kind of put myself out there and make that connection. So if you have any questions, comments, go ahead and leave them in the comment section. Like the video and subscribe for more videos. And I will see you next time.